Well, good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I hope you're having a great day. We sure appreciate you guys coming on, and thanks for doing that afternoon session. And let's see as you get your notifications. And let me see here. Who's going to be number one here this afternoon that I will say hello to? Andrea, you're always right at the top, Andrea. Good for you. Thanks for coming on. Much, much appreciated. Let's see here. Okay, we got a few people, but my scroll. There we are. Nick is on with us from our staff, Nativity. Hello. Wendy from Markham. And April, how are you? Mike, how are you, Mike? And Gloria. And you, how are you? Fran, Orangeville. Diane, Thunder Bay. Dan, nice to have you on. Rita. And Joanne from Berks Falls. How are you, Joanne? Rhoda, Labrador. Gloria from New York. Cheryl, how is you? And Sandy from Vancouver, Washington. Rose from Brampton, and Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Francis, and Dave from Muskoka, and Darlene, Saskatchewan. Mary, how are you from New Brunswick? Rita is saying hi to everyone. Etta, and Sherry, Mississauga. Lisa Marie, how are you? A lot of my morning folks are here this afternoon. Karen, how are you? Rosemary, New Brunswick. Brenda from Bancroft. Hi, Brenda. Denise, Oakville. Francis from Vaughan. Anne, how are you? From St. Catharines. Kelly, London. Rita, Wasaga. Karen, how are you? A couple of more guys and we'll get going. And let me see here. Vince from Tirana. And Vince is working. Sherry, hot chocolate, bone broth, delicious. Isn't it? Deb, how are you? From Harrow. Judy. And John Lafroy. Crystal. Alliston. And let me see. One more. Who's going to win? Who am I going to say? Roxanne from Edmonton, Gary from Bolton. You guys are so appreciated. Okay, let's do a couple of studies. Hot off the presses. I talked to you yesterday about lifestyle, and we got a lot of feedback on that. Thank you very much. Lifestyle versus genetics. Okay, and we really spent a program there. So if you weren't able to get us live yesterday, you'll be able to get that on a podcast very, very soon. Okay. Lifestyle, a stronger predictor of aging and mortality than genetics. So it's not so much who your parents are, but your lifestyle. Okay. Your lifestyle. Lifestyle can override genetics. And when I talk about lifestyle, I always start with food. You got to eat. You might as well eat the right way. Okay? And there's nothing that's going to affect your health more than eating. Of course, we love vitamin E, exercise, sun, steak, and steel, and sleep. Okay? So if you haven't got that book yet, make it part of your library. Sun, steak, and steel, and sleep. Bestseller. If you haven't got it, I'm wondering why you haven't got it. Okay? And I got a chapter in there on your blood work again, because we get asked about that every day. How do I interpret my blood work? And we make it really simple. And the things that are really important when it comes to metabolic testing. If you can figure that out, You can figure out your blood work and what it means and how to lower stuff if you have to lower it. We talk about that. Okay. Now, we talked about eggs yesterday, 47, just 1 to 2 eggs a week. Now, who can't do that? 1 to 2 eggs a week will decrease your risk of dementia by 47%. Now, come on. Come on. What medication will do that for you? A new study on vaping. It's worse than cigarettes. Wow. Okay. For dementia, heart disease, and organ failure. New study on vaping. Possibly, they're saying worse than cigarettes. Man, I have a hard time believing that, but don't be vaping, okay? Don't be vaping. Okay, let me see where else we got. We got a couple of new ones that came out today. Omega-3 and the treatment of bipolar, promising studies. Guys, promising studies on omega-3 and bipolar. I'll tell you what else has come out. Promising studies is a very low carb diet and bipolar. Okay? So this is a study that looking at all the studies, omega-3 treatment of bipolar disorder, promising. Promising. You know how much I love omega-3. And we talked about the trifecta. Last week, or when was it? Was it last week or the week before? We talked about the trifecta. How you can decrease your risk of all-cause mortality but cancer. Big time. Huge decrease in cancer with the trifecta. Omega-3, exercise, and vitamin D. So omega-3, vitamin E, the real vitamin E, which is exercise, and vitamin D, the trifecta. Now, guys, sun, steak, you get omega-3, and steel, exercise, okay? The sun is so good for you. If you don't have the sun, you got to take vitamin D as a supplement. And make sure you take your vitamin D with K2. Okay? With K2. So, isn't that a promising study? Another one on bipolar. New stuff coming out every day on bipolar depression. Studies showing serious side effects of calcium blocking drugs and glaucoma. Okay? That was in the Journal of American Medical Association. Studies showing serious side effects of calcium channel blocking. Why did they give you calcium channel blocking meds? High blood pressure. But they're showing glaucoma in the eyes. Problem. Okay? Just giving you those studies. Okay, let me look at a few more here. And likes. Okay? High dose of added sugar, okay, this is the headline, may be tanking your testosterone. Men, huge problem today. When men hit 50, and it happens a lot earlier than that, but I'm only going to talk about 50 and the research on 50-year-olds. When men hit the age of 50, their testosterone is sinking like the Titanic. Now, it's starting much earlier than it used to. But what I've said on this program many a time, there's men have more estrogen than their wives. And what happens with estrogen's a beautiful thing, ladies, when it's you. Okay, it's beautiful. As long as you know the rule of thumb. hormonal balance. Ladies, it's all about balance. You need estrogen and you need progesterone. But in men, we are very uncomplicated. A man's not complicated. We don't have ovaries. We're not complicated. Men, it's testosterone. And if estrogen is high, testosterone is low. If testosterone is high in a man, estrogen is low. That's the way it is. Now, you're saying, estrogen? Why does a man have? Well, we have a little weedy, eeny beeny, teensy weensy bit of estrogen. But like I said, we live in an estrogen-dominated world because of our environment, because of food that's got pesticides and herbicides and plastics and all these things that mimic what we call xenoestrogens. And men, boom. And if you don't do weightlifting, men, if you don't stay in shape, and if you, okay, so let me read the study again. If you are, research shows that consuming 75 grams of added sugar, the equivalent of a donut and a sugar-sweetened beverage, which could be a coffee, by the way, for a lot of men, can decrease circulating testosterone levels by 25% within 2 hours. No wonder we have so little testosterone in men today. Big, big, big issue. And testosterone, men, is needed for your vitality, your sex life. Testosterone is needed for your heart and your brain. In a man, testosterone. We answered a question the other day on the on our webinar about testosterone in women. I never once ever worried about testosterone in women. I never did. I never recommended it as a, to elevate or to get some testosterone. Never. I always played with estrogen and progesterone in women, never testosterone. That is a very minor, I know you can test it, and some doctors, they love to play with that. I never did. I got good results without playing with testosterone in women. Believe you me, okay? So, a high dose of added sugar in 2 hours will sink your testosterone, men, by 25%. See, I always come back to food. What is our rule of thumb? Cut down on carbs, crappy carbs, and sugars. If you do nothing else in your life, like the reset, I used to tell my patients, if you go 30 days and you haven't added 1 ounce of sugar, okay, or hardly, your body is going to give you high fives. Your pancreas will give you a high five. Your liver will give you a high five. Your testosterone will give you a high five. Men, ladies, your thyroid will give you a high five. Women's thyroids are complicated. But when you empty your liver, your thyroid, because you're converting your T4 to T3, which is the hormone that your thyroid can use, and it's very finicky. It's very finicky. But you see, when I start with food, it's amazing. You're cutting out sugar, and then men find out, hey, my testosterone's gone up. I feel better. I have more vitality. Okay. Let me just see here. What other study do we do? Because I want to sort of catch up on all the new studies. Let me just get, here's a good study that I read this. Okay, and this is, I don't think it's controversial, but at one time we could never talk about the virus, okay, and what happened. And they're just saying this, and I'm just reporting the research. One of the things that happened with the vaccine was, one of the things that happened with when getting vaccinated. The study is showing that it was, especially if you got the booster, okay, and a lot of people did, it was killing a very important gut bacteria, okay? The bifidobacteria, the whole strain of it, were wiped out. And there's links now to, poor autoimmune, when you don't have the bifidobacteria, you're much more susceptible to autoimmune, much more susceptible to a poor immune system. And even that, you know how we talk about the gut-brain connection? Even much more susceptible to depression. Anyways, they're just starting to discover this. And I read an article about it, and I just said, okay, let me comment on it. And then as we get more information, it will be good. Now, here's another one. Okay, study finds antidepressants, okay? Antidepressants like Prozac, for example, are associated with faster rates of cognitive decline. You guys, medication, almost all of them are double-edged swords. You know, on this program, thousands of times we've talked about the double-edged sword of antibiotics, okay? We've talked about it. You need it, can save your life, but it's got another side to it, and the side effects are well documented, and I've done a lot of research on it and a lot of writing about it. I don't think I'm trying to think if I've ever written a book out of my 22 or 23 books where I haven't mentioned the side effects of antibiotics, okay? And as much as they can save your life, there's another side to it. Well established. Now, we're down the road here, and we're finding out that antidepressants, and by the way, guys, I've talked about this a fair amount too. When antidepressants came out in the 1970s, okay, there was a black box warning on them. They were not to be used, and SSRIs were not to be used for long term. They were a short-term fix to sort of help you to get out of a rut, but they were never meant to be used for a long period of time, okay? Now, that all got thrown out with the baby with the bathwater, and, it's working for you. We're not taking you off of it, okay? And so the lay person that doesn't know much, are you going to argue with your doctor? Some people do, but you know what I mean. It's difficult when your doctor or your psychiatrist or, a psychologist says, yeah, you should be on an antidepressant. You're all right. It'll take the edge off or whatever it is, okay? I heard all the lingo in my office for years, anyway, what they're saying is when you've been on an antidepressant for a while, much more susceptible to dementia and cognitive decline. Now, we got enough fish to fry to keep our brain sharp. right? We got enough fish to fry. There's enough Alzheimer's around and dementia. You get to my age, guys, and what do we worry about? Memory. Who isn't worried about their memory? We all are worried about our memories, right? At least I am. I think, and I have a protocol for that. But if you're taking an antidepressant, and like I said, they were never meant to be long-term, but anyway, that ship has sailed. Well, you got to know what the consequences are. So let me just read to you the study again. Antidepressant use and cognitive decline in patients with dementia. Okay, it's a pretty exhaustive study. Antidepressants are associated with faster rates of cognitive decline, and then if you already have, because when you get the diagnosis of dementia, a lot of people are put on antidepressants. Well, the decline goes down even faster. So it was showing cognitive decline after years of use, and then even more if you're already diagnosed with some form of dementia. Okay. SSRIs. Okay, serotonin receptor uptakes drugs. Users had a greater risk of fractures and all-cause mortality compared to non-users. Okay? So SSRIs and antidepressants. Take care of yourself, guys. Okay, I always tell people if you're on probiotics, you need, if you're on an antibiotic, you better be taking probiotics. And then double up your probiotics for at least a month after any kind of antibiotic treatment. And get probiotics that are going to make it into your system. Okay, that's really important. And broad spectrum, okay, very important. So, everybody should be on a probiotic, in my humble opinion, and especially if you're on any medication. Because even these antidepressants and SSRI medications are really, really important to protect yourself. Okay? Really important to protect. One of them will do it probiotic. The other with cognitive, I'm telling you, cognitive high DHA. Cognitive vitamin D. Fractures with the SSRIs, vitamin D with K2. Eat a lot of cheese, you'll get your calcium with K2. That's why butter and steak and all that the animal kingdom has. It has vitamin D, it has calcium, but it also has vitamin K2 built in. Did you know that? Vitamin K2 is not found in the plant kingdom. It's found in the animal kingdom. Why do you think I always say, look, there's three kingdoms in food. There's animal, there's plants, and then there's man-made foods. Okay? I wrote a book about it. The animal kingdom. Your body was designed for it. It's where you get the best omega-3, is in the animal food, because you have the longer chain fatty acids of DHA and EPA. And then there was another one. I brought this to you. I don't want to go fishing too long. I'll never find it. On dairy. What was that thing on dairy that I brought to you a few days ago? I got to get my notes out. Okay. If I can't find it in the next 10 seconds. Okay. I don't remember. I can't find it. I have more notes, guys. You have no idea. Okay. Anyway, it was on dairy, and they have a special omega in there That's very good for you. Okay? So, animal kingdom, superior foods. Nutrients, vitamins, calcium. People say, Doc, I thought you hated calcium. No, I don't hate calcium. You need calcium. But I don't like you taking it as a supplement. I want you to eat it. Eat calcium. Okay? Because when you eat calcium with vitamin K2, it's already built in when you eat eggs, meat, and cheese. The animal kingdom. Fish. Animal kingdom. Okay? Got the memo? So you have the animal kingdom. Then you have the plant kingdom of foods. Okay? Fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. Right? Those are they're plant kingdom foods. They're all right. I'm not telling people never to have that. I don't tell people that. I don't want you living on it. Don't live on the plant kingdom. Your body wasn't designed to live in the plant kingdom. Okay? So you want to have your salad? Well, you go for it. Go for it. Don't live on it. And then people, they do a follow-up question. Well, how much? I don't know. Live on eggs, meat, and cheese. Make that your primary. And you'll get used to it. You'll find out how much better you feel. You'll find out how much better it is for your brain. And how much better it is for your joints. And how much better it is for your skin. And how much better it is for your gut. I'll tell you what irritates the gut more than anything is fiber. And it's plants. Okay, I'm not saying, again, did I tell you can't eat it? But do you know how many thousands, and I mean it, guys, thousands of patients that I took off? I said, okay, you came to see me, you got diverticulosis, you got IBS, you got, irritable bowel, your gut is hangry, gurgle, and lots of bloating, Doc, and I don't feel good, and it doesn't matter what I eat, that those intestines of mine they're playing the drums in there. It's just constant. I heard that all the time. And I said, okay, how much salad are you eating? What? Well, I eat salad a lot. I love salad. I said, yeah, but your gut don't love salad. You love it, but your gut don't love it. It's roughage. You see all those nuts and seeds? Doc, they're almonds. Seeds, I gotta have them. No, you don't. Not if you got a bad gut. No, you don't. You're gonna come off for 30 days and you'll thank me later. We had conversations in the office and they'd look at me at first like I got two heads. I said, well, you got way too much fiber in your diet. Well, I know, but I was told. I said, you were told wrong. You got to just trust me for 30 days as I take you away temporarily from the plant kingdom. You got ulcerative colitis. Stop. No plants for a bit. I want to get the angriness out of your gut. They knew what I meant by that. Their guts were angry. And they're trying to figure out, can I spend $500 or find out what foods are irritating me? I said, listen, when you got a sunburn, okay, you got a sunburn, I don't care what you put on your skin, it hurts. True or false? Right? You got a sunburn. Well, when you get a fiber burn in your gut, I don't care what you put down there that's got roughage in it, you're just making it worse. So you got to stop. Trust me. Boy, I think I said that to every patient, just about, for 40-something years. Trust me. Okay? You came to see me, right? Well, that's a measure of trust, isn't it? Yeah. And number 2, I'm going to give you protocol, and you might not, you might not fully understand what I'm doing, but I said, you see this face? I know it looks stupid, but actually there's some smarts in behind there somewhere. And you got to just trust me with this. Are you ready to do that? You are? I love you. Okay? You came to see me. I want to help you. I don't want to hurt you. I can help you, but you got to trust me. Okay. Guys, okay. Thanks for coming on this afternoon. We love you dearly. Okay, thanks. Much appreciated. Tomorrow's Q&A. So I don't think it's too late. I'm not sure about that. But if you got Q&A, any questions that you want asked, send them into info@martinclinic.com. Guys, we love you dearly, okay? I mean that. Best audience in the world is you guys. Talk to you soon.